Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to show you the process for removing the old worn out traction mats on this ski. We're going to be installing an awesome set of new mats from Ritco Products. This is one of 4 videos I'm doing on this Wave Runner 3 as a restoration project. Here's a closer look at how bad these mats really are. The first step in getting new traction mats installed is removing the old worn out traction mats and glue. I'm going to be showing you the first part of the removal process using glue gun and a razor blade. I'm going to get started on soaking the leftover mat surface in glue. You can pretty much use either of these products for this process. Spray enough glue gun solution on the mat surface and leftover adhesive to soak the area. Using gloves, rub it in real well and let it sit for a couple hours so it soaks in deeply to the glue. When you are scraping the mats off, you want to use more of a cutting motion than going straight at it. Hold the razor at an angle and slice the surface so the razor glides over the hole rather than digging in. I have found that this razor blade holder works best for me, and I have a tendency to use a slightly used razor blade in it when cutting mats off. If it's a new razor blade, I have found that sometimes it digs into the hole more frequently instead of grazing the surface. This can be a rather tedious process to get the old mats off, but with patience, really anyone can do it. It is a good idea to use masking tape around the area just to help prevent gouges outside the mat surface area. I wanted to show you what happens when you leave the glue gun solution on for a little longer, like 3 to 5 hours through the day. The clean white and slight residue section are about 3 to 5 hours of soaking, and the darker, full glue layer was only about 30 minutes to 1 hour of soaking. The best I can tell you guys is to try to leave the glue gun solution on for as long as you can, like 3 to 5 hours, so it has a sufficient amount of time to soak all the way through the pad and glue. I'm going to get started on removing the right side pad surface area so I can show you how I hold the razor blade to cut pads off. This is the best way to hold the razor blade when removing pads and glue, so you're allowing the razor to slice material rather than pushing it. As you can see here, if you let the glue gun soak in long enough, it really makes the glue removal process easier. When you are scraping the pads and glue, try to be sure to keep the razor blade in the pad surface area. Any areas that are too close to a painted outer surface should have masking tape on them to prevent razor blade gouging showing up after. You don't always have to cut all the way to the corner or edge, because to prevent scratches and gouges, you can use rubbing compound to clean that area up. After I finish the scraping process, I like to use brake clean to wipe over the whole area to see if I need more adhesive remover or if I can finish with rubbing compound. When I get the surface looking like there's just residue left, that's when I like to use 3M rubbing compound and an old toothbrush to scrub the remaining area clean. Since the rubbing compound is brown in color, it kind of works like a dye to pinpoint the remaining glue that's left. Whatever the rubbing compound doesn't remove, you can use a razor blade to scrape up the rest. The whole objective here is to get the surface clean, smooth, and flat so the foot pads bond properly to the hole. I also like using the rubbing compound on the glue residue because it kind of changes the composite of the glue, making it a little less sticky. This side rail foot pad surface has a lot of curves to it, so it is a little tougher to cut the pads off without gouging the hole. If you cut a little bit at a time, like I'm doing here, it's a lot easier to control the razor blade. Once you get the top foot pad surface removed, you can try to razor knife the glue dry, or you can soak the area with glue gun to make it easier. I prefer to use glue gun myself to make the surface prep easier. Detail scraping with a handheld razor can be a little easier when you're trying to clean the corners and edges. As you can see here, I'm scraping from the inside towards the outside edge because it's a little easier to control the razor blade that way, especially when you're cutting toward the tape. Using the razor blade to just graze over the surface can make it easier to remove the thicker amounts of glue. I went through the same steps using rubbing compound on the rail surfaces to get them as clean as the rest of the pad surfaces. As you can see here, the Goo Gone and rubbing compound got the matte surfaces cleaned up. After I finish the rubbing compound step, I like to go over the whole ski with 3M medium polish to help brighten up the finish and to prevent getting white residue on the new pads. Once I'm done polishing the whole ski, I then go over the ski with 3M marine wax, trying to stay off the foot pad surfaces. After waxing the ski, I use brake clean to clean the foot pad surfaces of any wax residue, and I stage the pads on the ski to check proper fitment and orientation. After verifying the pads are correct and laid out properly, next you need to space the pads evenly and tape down one side of them to have them ready to install. I've already installed the left rail pad just to get a feel for the best way to install them, but I'll show you how I installed it when I do the right rail pad later in the video. The best way to install the new pads and keep them evenly spaced is to tape one side of the pad down to keep it secure, then peel the backing off the other side and apply it first. Then you just remove your placement tape, which you can put on the edge of the pad as a guide, peel off the remaining backing, and apply the rest of the pad. When you're applying the pads to the hull, you should push from the middle outward to prevent air bubbles forming under the pad. If you accidentally trap air under the pad, don't worry, because all you have to do is pop the bubble with a needle and push the air out. Repeat that process for all of the remaining pads and verify the left side pad spacing matches the right side spacing so your results look professional. When you are done laying the pads down, I recommend going over the whole pad surface with a laminate roller to be sure the pad is fully applied to the hull. The rear pad is sometimes a little tougher than the others because it is normally the biggest pad. I like to secure the pad at the rear with tape, apply the front sections first, then move to the rear part and apply it last, like shown here. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please take a moment to do so. I have a lot more videos to come. That pretty much finishes 4 out of 7 of the pads. I'm going to move to the right side and show you how I installed the rail pads. The easiest way I found to do the rail pads was to peel half of the backing for the upper part of the rail, then apply it to the rail, lining up the pad with the outer recessed edge. Then, once the upper part is applied, you can peel the backing from the lower part and roll your hands over the middle part of the pad and slowly roll your hands towards the outer part of the pad to push out the bubbles. The installation on the right side is pretty much the same as the left side, so I'm just going to show you them being applied. Now is a good time to run over all the pads with a laminate roller to push out any air bubbles under the pads so they get the best bond to the hull. Now that we're finished with the foot pads, I'm going to walk you around the whole ski and show you how the install turned out, and also the other things I did to improve the appearance of this ski. The 4 cosmetic things I did to this ski was to polish and wax it, replace the grips, and install a new custom seat cover and new traction mats. The grips we installed are OD Rogue grips, and the seat cover and traction mats are from Ritco Products. Special thanks to Ritco Products for supplying the seat cover and traction mats, and you can find links to all the products, tools, and materials in my description. This video is just one part of a series of videos I'm doing to show the rebuild process of this Yamaha Wave Runner 3. If you want to see more, just check out my channel. One cool thing about these OD grips is that they have a cutout in the flange for the throttle trigger to allow it to move freely. If you haven't checked out Ritco Products yet, click the links in my description and check out what they have for your ski. If you don't see what you're looking for, don't hesitate to give them a call. If you enjoyed this video or just found it helpful, please smash the like button, subscribe to my channel to see more cool videos like this one, and I'll see you in the next video.